So, hi again, Nenad. How
Hello,
are you
hello,
today?
Yulia. Doing great, doing great. Can't wait to go on to start my vacation soon. So,
Yeah, where are you going?
Tunisia.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yes,
Well, you have
yes.
a good time there. But before
Thank you.
you go on your amazing vacation, I'm sure I'd like to know. So, you're a remote support team leader, senior team leader, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
how did you become one? Because as part of Interprefy's like remote support, are you originally a sound engineer, or what's your background, and how did you join Interprefy really?
Yes. So, my journey with Interprefy starts when the pandemic started. So, around May 2020. I already worked here in my town as tech support for one company. And I was looking for, because I started working remotely, I was looking for some additional work, and I came on to LinkedIn and saw the ad for a junior technician. For that role, I saw that it was a part-time role, so that was really convenient for me. um, I applied, and in maybe 2 weeks of interviews and the training and everything, I started working as a junior technician. And by the end of the year, we already switched to full time, and I was offered the role as a senior technician, which I accepted. Um, and After some more work in that area and improving myself, I found myself again offered a new role as a team leader. I accepted that, and now we are here.
That's cool. So,
Yeah,
but
so
are
it's
you
it's a
like
bit
a
of a
sound engineer, or what's your original background, or is just like you're a tech guy and just
no. I was always interested in IT in that
okay?
area, so I I was always improving myself whenever I all the jobs I have worked was closely related to IT support, to tech support, and similar.
It's cool. So, since you've been
Yeah.
with Interprefy for a bit over 3 years now, so I guess you must like it at Interprefy, right? So, what's the best part of the
Yes.
job?
Well, the best part of the job is something that was hard for me to adapt at first, and that was remote work. I was always the kind of guy who always thought that I would be in the office, I would have my desk, my computer there, and everything set. So that was the thing that I love the most now. Now I can go to my parents' house and work from there through my laptop. I even went on some short vacations for a few days where I brought my laptop and worked from there. So I think that's the best thing for my job, and also the team I have around me is very healthy environment, and very good people who have helped me through my path from all the roles I have named. So junior technician, senior technician, team leader, and now senior team leader. So I'm really very grateful for that.
Oh, that's great. So, as a senior team leader, what I assume like you don't do much of the actual tech support right now, or what is it that you actually do? Like, what's the gist of your job right now?
Yes, well, it is mostly still some tech work, because I was always a guy who loved that side of work. So all my previous roles and previous jobs were all closely related to tech work. I was discussing with some colleagues that maybe I have potential for maybe a different role in project management or something like that, but I don't think that's for me. I don't think that I will be feeling fulfilled working there. I love. I know it sounds weird, but I love to have a problem that I can solve. I love to feel challenged in that area. Um, as I worked in IT, all problems I have encountered were software or hardware related. Now, mostly it is software related since I'm working remotely and everything like that. So yes, my current role is still very closely tied to problem solving and tech support. But not only that, we also, as a senior team leader, I also assist with training of newcomers in our team. Also setting up brief and briefing before every event, briefing our junior technicians. Also, every other thing that relates to our roles. So I monitor also a lot of events. I jump in when some of my colleagues need help and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, for us, it's always great to have someone who can solve the problems for us because, like, we don't have the
Yes,
capacity,
yes, yes,
already doing like 10 things at once. I'm like, no, I can't deal with this right now. Please help. So yeah, that's great to have someone who actually enjoys it too.
yes. I know it sounds weird, but I really love to have a problem to solve. Then I try one thing and try a different thing, and somehow I find a way to the solution.
So you sound like the person who would enjoy, like, the Rubik's Cube.
Yes, yes.
Do you know how to do it?
uh, I have tried to learn, but you also have patterns to follow there.
Yeah, I
So
know
yeah,
there are patterns, but I've never gotten past, like, I think the third one or something like that. It's just
yes,
do
yes.
that.
I have it here. I love to complete Sudoku. I don't know if you
Ah,
did.
okay,
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I like.
it's fun. I mean, I'll give it to you. I mean, I'm not good with numbers, but yeah,
Yeah. No, in my high school, I was always good in math and those like how should I call it?
scientific, more
Yes, and
scientific
physics
subjects.
and
Oh
yes, yes.
yeah, I always sucked at math, which is why I'm an interpreter now.
Yeah. You don't do any calculations and anything on your job.
Yeah, I don't have to, and if I have to, there's calculators for that now. So
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Why did you become an interpreter? What pushed you to become one?
well, life circumstance, actually, I say, because I was originally born in Russia, but when I was like 3 years old, my parents decided to leave the country and we moved to Europe, to Czech Republic. So essentially, I was thrown into a whole new language. So they put me directly into a preschool with Czech kids, and well, kids, they absorb languages really easily. So I just had to learn on the go, basically sink or swim. So yay, I swam. And yeah, so since I already grew up with two languages, my parents kind of always pushed me to learn more languages because there's a saying, the more languages you know, the more times you are human. So I learned a bit of German in school, then obviously English, and I also went to an Italian high school, but that's not my working language actually. But yeah, since I was always good at languages, I decided that, hey, this is actually something that I can do for a living. I love languages and I love to talk excessively, and I can get paid for that. Like, what? Yeah. And then my math tutor, actually, he told me that there's a university for that in Prague where I can study to become like an actual interpreter, like the one with the headphones and the microphone, the one that you see in the booth. And I was like, wow, this is a dream come true. So I applied, I got accepted, and yeah, I have a master's in interpreting and translation, and that's it basically. So yeah, just
Great.
life.
Yeah. So your working languages are Russian English or
Russian, English, and Czech.
and Czech. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Italian is for holidays. I still know enough to get around in Italy and to get tons of compliments from Italians because they are always so happy when a tourist speaks their language. But it's not a working one for me. I just don't have the time and energy to maintain it at the level that I would need to.
Yeah, yeah. We are always excited here when we hear some foreigner speaks a word or two on our language. So
Yeah.
that's always great. So, what excites you about your role as a role? What do you love about your job?
Well, I think the versatility, because as an interpreter, you well, obviously not online, but as an interpreter who accompanies delegations or who goes to live conferences, you just get to go to such interesting places and see so much of the cool stuff and even try it and experience it sometimes and learn about the stuff also, which is you can also do online. Yes, like I don't know, one day it's you're interpreting about an off-season hockey prep for the youth, and the next week you are visiting a cow farm with a delegation. And like so you it's just it's yeah, it's so different every day. You never know what's going to come next. And it's just yeah, I guess this is what I love most about it, apart from the fact that obviously you help people communicate and understand each other. And that means that you are sort of helping the world connect, like Nokia connecting people, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess, yeah, the versatility of it.
Nice, nice. So, are you working remotely mostly, or you are traveling a lot?
I actually, during the pandemic, obviously, big conferences will held remotely or held remotely. But now that it's finally over, yay, um, they're coming back offline because like online is it's great and it works and it's all nice and whatever, but there's just the personal connection and meeting someone face to face is just something that you can't really have on the screen because like talking with a group of people online, it's difficult because everybody's like yelling over each other and you can't hear anyone properly and there's echo and feedback. And when you meet people in person and I don't know, you share dinner or you go for a walk together or whatever, it's just different. So I have nothing against online work, but I actually do prefer, I guess, being on site. But online has one big advantage for us interpreters because normally when we go on site, we are the most overdressed person in the room. And when you're doing it online, we don't use cameras because the participants don't need to see our faces and we don't want to be distracting. So you can interpret in your pajamas, and that's great. Also, no travel, no commute. So yeah, there are definitely some huge advantages I do like about working remotely.
Yes, I agree. I also love working remotely, but I haven't met personally anyone, I mean, in person, anyone from my company for about a year, maybe more. And then when I finally met on some team building, I was like, you guys exist. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, these people are actually real.
Yes, they're not just numbers
Yeah.
and names on the screen. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
personal connections are just irreplaceable, I think.
Yes, yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. But as I said, remote does have its advantages.
How long have you worked with our platform with Interprefy and
Well, it's your platform. I think I've actually used it like twice because people still think that Zoom is enough. And
yeah,
well, yes, like it works, it does the job, but it's not the most comfortable tool for us, the interpreters, which is why platforms like Interprefy or any other similar platforms, they are obviously a preference for I think all of us because it basically it simulates the booth, the real booth that we are used to very well. The only exception is that not always you can have your colleague sitting next to you, but sometimes even that is possible. For instance, when I work online with a colleague who lives in the same city, we just meet up in my place or at her place and we sit in the same room. So it's much easier for us to do the handover, for instance, because that's, I think, where many platforms are still lacking in the sense that for the handover, the best thing you can have is the ability to see your partner and do like, are you ready? Like, yes, yes, all these hand signs and just like, yes, yes, no, no. It's stupid, but that's how we do it. And when you don't see your partner, when you don't have that, like when they're finishing the sentence and then like, oh, so these nonverbal cues are very important for us for a successful handover. So that's something not all platforms can do, and I think that's what actually they should, if they're listening, take notes, add, separate video streams so we can see each other with our colleagues. That's something we want. Trust me.
Yes, yes, yes. So recently, we also implemented that option that you can also see your partner and do
Yeah, and
those
that's
verbal
that's
things.
great. I
Yeah.
saw it because I was like looking at the platform again to give myself a refresher, like where everything is. And this is like the best feature you could have added, I think. That, and then the slow down button. I just love the slow down
Yeah.
button for the speakers.
Yes.
I don't know if they like actually notice when we press it or what happens. Like, do they get like a flashing screen, like, oh my God, slow down or whatever? But it just feels nice to have that option, like
Yes, yes.
that's
I
something you don't
understand.
have at a real conference because you can start waving your hands from the booth, but nobody's looking at you anyway. So
Yeah, like keep.
yeah, it doesn't work usually because they're looking anywhere else but at us. So
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I understand that sometimes they are not mindful of their speed or
yeah,
like that. So I completely understand. There is sometimes there is nothing we can do as technicians. We cannot contact them. We cannot do anything. So we just I'm sorry. We just say I'm sorry to you guys. I know
yeah.
you
I mean,
understand. So
we're used to it. We do what we got to do with what we have. That's it
yeah,
essentially. And we do our best, obviously, whatever we have.
yeah, sure, sure. Even though this is remote work and you maybe sometimes think that we are not there, but we are there. We are following everything. We are doing our best to slow them down if we can, or
Yeah,
advise them to we always advise them to use headset. I mean,
yeah,
it's
but that's just like fighting windmills, or like
yeah.
this is such it's I mean, and I know that you can tell people like 20 times, please use something that's not your phone or your inbuilt microphone laptop or whatever. But some people just, they don't care because they feel like, oh, I can hear all right. And that's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
But I have to say, like, the biggest advantage also of platforms like Interprefy is that there actually is a dedicated support team. Because on Zoom, if the client doesn't think to have someone in that role, there is no dedicated support because Zoom doesn't work that way. So you kind of just, if something happens, you're like, well, what are we gonna do now? And then chaos ensues on all sides. We are kind of used to it, so we're like, well, we'll just wait for someone to fix this. But on the other side, when they don't have a dedicated technical support person or a technical support team, it's just panic. And that doesn't help anyone. So that's also the reason why when someone approaches me and they're like, hey, I need an interpreting for an event and I'd like to do this online, I always try to sell them on one of these platforms. I always try to explain, like, yes, it's more expensive, but it's also like so much better because of this and this reason. I was just looking at the video about this new sound check that you have implemented. So was it a team effort or how did you come up with it? Because like what kind of paused me was the fact that there's advice to log in 40 minutes before the event starts, which seems like a lot. Usually like it's like 15, 20 minutes and it's in most cases it's enough. So why 40? That's like a lot of time.
Yes. So basically, the prep hour, uh, as the name says, it begins 1 hour before the meeting starts. We usually, when the interpreters are on time and everything is set, we do the sound check and everything in 5 to 10 minutes, and then we are good. So sometimes why we ask to log in that before, because we usually take the first 20 minutes to do the setup and everything. Maybe there are some complicated setups that need more time. So that way, we also assure that you are on time. Sometimes it happens that when there are two or three interpreters on the
Yeah.
booth on the same channel, sometimes uh, they are not on time, and they always think, "Oh, I work with two colleagues. Maybe they will arrive sooner, and I have more time."
Yeah.
That's why we our practice is to log in 40 minutes before, so we can do sound check. And usually during, I mean, not usually, but sometimes there are mm, issues with the interpreter's headset or sound or browser or something like that that demands attention and time to solve. So if you have two or three interpreters, sometimes it happens that all of them have some issue. So it
Yeah.
takes some time to
Okay.
resolve those issues. So that's why we really don't want to bother you to log in that much just because. Uh, though, so
So it's
it
just like
takes,
a buffer. Yeah.
yeah, like a buffer.
Okay.
Even if we sit like a half an hour before the meeting, all set, everything is good, everything is set, we feel more comfortable knowing that everything is set. We don't have any last minute things that we need to do, that we need to fix or something like that. So also for that new sound check procedure, how do you like it?
I think, yeah, it does the job basically. And the good thing is that there is a sound check procedure because, again, as I said, that's not a guarantee. That's not what happens at all events. And again, that's what I think is one of the benefits of Interprefy and similar platforms is that there are dedicated processes, the things that need to happen. So there's a dedicated sound check, there's a support team, there's all this stuff that really makes the event more smooth if something happens. So it's, you're a bit like us, because when interpreting is happening smoothly, people forget it's there, and it's like we're not there. And likewise, when the event is running great technical wise, no one even knows that there's a support team, right?
Yes.
You're invisible because everything is going well. And the only moment when you or me become visible is when something stops going well. So, as long as people don't remember we're actually there, I think, we're doing good. Just,
Yeah,
being
that's
invisible,
really
doing our jobs like ninjas and then flying away.
yes, that's really a good way to say it. Thank you.
Yeah. It's just, it makes me always feel so much safer when I know, like, okay, there's a support team. If something goes south, they're they're dealing with it already before I can type my message because I know they're seeing it too. So that's a great thing to have.
Yeah. So I have one more question. So not closely related to interpretation and your job. What do you do to unwind from your job, from some heavy sessions where your ears are buzzing and everything?
Yeah.
How do you relax after your job?
Yeah, it's true that after some intense sessions, your brain turns basically into mashed potatoes. That's I think the best description I can give. So what I do is, like, honestly, like for instance, when I get home or when I'm like uh, turn everything off. I just get home. I plop myself on the couch and I'll just stare at the wall, into nothingness for like 15 minutes. It's just like it's like a complete brain reset. I'm just like staring at a wall, not thinking about anything. Like my head is totally empty. Like do you watch The Simpsons? Like when Homer Simpson is thinking, and there's like that monkey going like ding ding ding
Yes.
ding 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 ding. Yeah, so that's like the immediate aftermath. Like when I know I'm on a safe space, I can turn off my brain now. So when I finished my commute or whatever, that's step one. Step two is I like to play video games. So I like to, after an intense session, I usually like to play something really like mindless and that doesn't require too much attention or thinking. So I'll either play some stupid like puzzle game on my phone, like Candy Crush or whatever, because it's so dumb. Or I like to play a shooter game.
Oh,
So
great.
that's more for like, when something didn't go exactly well at the event, like I don't know, this, and you're a bit angry, because the speakers were too fast or the presentations were completely different than what you received. It's something that as an interpreter you're like, oh well, this could have been prevented, and it kind of annoys you. So when you get home after such a session, you're like, okay, I can destroy some things now, So that's a great way to unwind too. And
Yeah.
then obviously, like the more boring stuff that many people, I guess, use is like taking a walk or doing yoga, but it does help a lot. So yeah. Also cuddling my cat who is sleeping currently. So it helps too.
Okay. Great. Great. I also like to do some of those things. I also play some games, and I don't know if you, as you said, if everything goes wrong for many hours and you need to unwind, I play God of War when the
Oh,
big bald
yeah.
guy with the giant axe just hacks through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I finished it a couple of months ago, the second one. It was so great. And yeah, it's just so good. You get like a big axe and you're just like, "Rawr, I'm a god of war. I destroy." Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know who says that video games make people violent. They make me less violent because it's an outlet.
Yes,
you
I
know?
completely agree.
Yeah. That's just so you too get stressed after like intense full day events because I guess you also have to be very focused, right? All the time.
Yes, yes.
You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just spin around in my chair and
Yeah, most of our sessions have multiple languages. So I also have floor on and English, German, Russian, many
yeah,
languages. So I turn down English, turn up German to see if there are any issues,
yeah,
if handover is done correctly, if there is no noise and everything. So we monitor that closely, and it's a lot to have many voices
yeah.
in your head. So you as you said, I just turn down everything and just listen to silence for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then
Yeah.
I go for a walk or something similar.
Yeah, it's just like, reset after hearing voices. It's so important, yeah. But also, like, you mentioned that sometimes you have three interpreters in one booth. Did I get that correctly?
Yes, it
You do
rarely
that.
happens.
That's interesting
Yes,
because usually that's like EU level stuff. They have three interpreters in a booth, but I've never actually seen this in an online event or even like a normal conference, maybe like once. So that's unusual, but that's great. Like, how does this happen, or how did you arrive to the conclusion that this is something that needs to be done, or is it
well,
just client's
we
request, or
usually yes, we usually have two. Our practice is two interpreters
yeah,
to cover for each other, but sometimes on clients' demands or something like that.
that's cool because I'm not sure like how many interpreting platforms are actually technically equipped to have like three interpreters in a booth. I'm pretty sure you can do that on Zoom. I think it becomes very complicated, and
Yeah,
but those must
we
be some really like high level clients, I guess, because free interpreters. I know it's only normal for the European Union, and that's basically it.
Yeah. Uh, I usually always love to have a backup of a backup for whatever I work. So I completely
Yeah,
understand them. Yeah.
yeah. So it's Plan B and Plan C and Plan D.
Yes. I don't think we have any limitations regarding how many interpreters we can have per booth.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So your job is essentially like you said, you listen to one language and then the other. Do you also sometimes have like one language in one ear and the other language in the other ear? Because that's what interpreting teachers do. They listen to the
Uh,
original and to the students' output, and then they kind of give us feedback based on that. So is this something that you can do too to like become more efficient, or?
no, I haven't done it like that. I usually just play them as it is in both ears.
Okay, that's just something
So
that came into my mind because that's like, oh, I'm hearing voices, they're everywhere.
yeah. So for me, your job is like some Olympic sports. I just don't know. You listen to one language and you typing with us in the chat, and you are also taking some notes and reading uh, some presentations you have, some material. For me, that's like Oh my God! So, like I'm watching some athlete on Olympic Games who is. I really admire that.
Thank you. It is, multitasking at the extreme level, I guess.
Yes, yes. I
But
consider myself
it's
multitasking when I'm having maybe two parallel events, setting up one, listening to interpreters for another,
yeah,
and yeah, so that's extreme.
yeah. But it's a skill. It can be taught. It can be learned. Personally, I think there is, like, if you want to be a simultaneous interpreter, I think there needs to be some like underlying talent, for the lack of a better word, or like an affinity or like predisposition or whatever. Your brain needs to be wired a certain way, I guess. But still, it's a skill. You can learn it. Just it comes easier to some people and harder for other people. But there are methods, that are used, and yeah, it's learnable. Like pretty much anything really. Like math
I
for
have
me is Olympic sport.
yeah, I have tried. I just challenged myself to try to simultaneously interpret. I was yelling like I was not hearing myself. I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's like when you're calling your grandma on the phone, and she's like, "What?" Yeah. No, it's a fun job, I think. Some people would disagree, Usually when I tell someone like this is also what I do, they're like, "But how?" How is this possible? I'm like, "Well, I don't know, it's possible, I do it, so you could do it too if you want to." And spend like 3 years learning the basics, I guess. But come on, I mean, your job must be pretty exciting to just. There has to be something that like people don't realize about tech support. Like, is there something like that?
Well, I don't know. As I said, I love problem solving. I love like all that stuff, hardware, software related. Doesn't matter. It, it's not some extreme sport where it gets really exciting. I don't know.
You never
Yeah,
know.
it can be challenging. I have also worked some major venues in my previous job. Major venues where we had to wire internet to from one side of the hall to another to make sure that everything works perfectly. To they have that's the physical part of the job
Yeah.
where we were on site and making sure that everything is cabled right and the power we have to the right places.
So, do you have actually experience technically setting up live interpreting events like conferences and stuff like that?
Me
You know what?
myself, no,
Yeah.
but we as a company, yes.
Yeah.
I've just worked remotely as tech support.
Okay.
I
I was
also
just.
envy my colleagues who go on sites to all around the world with the bags of equipment and then set it up there. That's really something I have done in my previous job, and I also like to do.
Well, I would just, for me, it would be interesting to hear from like a sound engineer or a tech support person who did both, who both goes to conferences and sets up, like you said, wiring internet from one end of the room to the other and setting up all the physical cables and stuff like that, comparing it to how online events are set up. Because I always wonder, like, what's easier for them? Is it online or is it physical or maybe hybrid? Though I hear those are a pain in the neck, when you
Yes,
have,
yes,
yeah.
they can be. Yes. So I don't find it easier to do one thing or another. For me, it's as I said, I did both sides of the job. Currently, I'm working like this. Maybe something changed in the future, but for now, I like it how it is now.
Oh, I guess that's, all that matters in the end, that you don't hate your job.
Yes,
that's,
yes.
that's
As they
something we can
say,
all strive for.
you love the job you work, and you work the job you love. So
Yeah.